Hey members, happy Monday. So for today's Mobility Monday, we're going to be doing what are called smashes. Okay, so you're going to take this lacrosse ball and we're going to smash different parts of our body. It sounds much more painful than it is, but it is uncomfortable, okay? So on Friday's video, we discussed ankle mobility. This is one way to improve ankle mobility, especially if you have tight calves, specifically tight gastrocnemius and your soleus, big fancy words for the muscles back here, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna just place, I like to think of the belly as of the muscle right here, the thickest part. You're gonna place the lacrosse ball right underneath that, and you're gonna push that leg into the ground. Now I'm actually picking my hips up off the ground and putting some downward pressure into the ball, okay? So I'm trying to push that ball through the ground, and I'm just gonna move it around slowly, right? If you've been following us since the beginning of pandemic, we followed a myofascial release workout with a foam roller. And I pretty much explained the thought behind foam rolling and its benefits. So this is supposed to increase the elasticity of the tissue, supposed to help blood flow, also helps to break up the fascia, or fascial bindings, like little knots of saran wrap in your muscles. It's kind of what the fascia is. It helps with muscular communication, movement, nutrient movement across the muscle, and some other things. So the idea is that when we have restrictions, that it's bindings of fascia that can be broken up. Another thing that it does is it temporarily inhibits strength production in the muscles, okay? So what that means is you want to do this really probably after your workout and before you stretch, unless you're going for like a submaximal workout, in which case this should be fine. You just want to do, you want to have your stretching done after this, because this is going to help you stretch better, okay? So after I spend, and you'll see me like moving around a little bit, and you'll see me staying on some places. It's actually because, once I get to a trigger point, some people call it, I want to stay there for a little bit and kind of work on it. Like think about like massaging a knot. It's kind of the same idea. We're going to move ahead to the hamstrings next. So I'm actually going to get to the edge of the box here. I'm going to place this under my hamstring. I'm going to flex my quad so that actually stretches my hamstring, and I'm going to move around until I feel a trigger point. So I have mine right there, right? So I'm gonna straighten my leg out. I'm just gonna work on that point. You can work on a point for 30 to 45 seconds, up to a minute even maybe, depending on how stubborn. A trick that I use, or I should say like a process that I use, is if the trigger point is too intense, I'll work, an inch above or below the muscle, right? So you have your muscle like, if you think like a Christmas light, and the middle bulb, if you want to call it that, the middle bulb or middle portion of the light is really sore of your muscle, then you can just work on the bulbs like kind of next door, and you'll still feel it and you'll still get some relief, and then you might be able to work on that larger portion of the muscle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move over to the other side. Yeah, so that's a spot. So I'm just gonna hold it there, right? Okay. So after I work on my hamstrings, I'm gonna roll over my quads. We're gonna pretend like I've been rolling my hamstrings now for 3-4 minutes, working on different areas of the muscle. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and do my quads. So I'm gonna lay on my front in a prone position. This is gonna go somewhere on my quad, and I'm just going to use my elbows and my toes to shift my weight around until I find a spot that is a good trigger point, okay? Now, quads are a bit thicker, so they're thicker muscles, so you may need to lean a little bit more. I don't know if you can see from this angle, my feet are actually crossed, and I'm putting most of my weight on that right leg. So again, you want to work all the way up and down. Quads are, similar to the hamstrings. They're very long muscles. So you want to work the entire length of the muscle. So the four the four parts of your quad, the reason they're called the quadriceps, are actually four individual muscles. So with the quad, you want to take your time hitting different areas, right? It's not like your hamstring, which even that is two different muscles, or your calf, again, two different muscles. There's a lot of different aspects to your quad, right? So you want to hit upper left of the kneecap, upper right of the kneecap, the main body, and then like kind of in the middle here, like the upper part of the quad, and then the middle. Okay, and that'll kind of work on four of the primary spots. Next, after that, we're done with the quadricep. We're going to go over to the IT band. Now, this is going to be very sensitive. If you have a tennis ball, try that out. See how it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and just place the ball right along my IT band. So anywhere along this line right here. Okay? Without getting too high up on the hip. This is going to be very sensitive, so I'm just going to be very gentle, and you may even need to work the IT band up and down rather than front and back. Notice how I'm sliding my weight. I have 3 points of contact, my right elbow, left hand, and left foot, and then there's the ball, and that allows me to decrease or increase pressure as needed. Okay, so after I do both IT bands, I'm going to go ahead and drop the ball. So if you find your pocket, slightly above your pocket is probably this area that I'm talking about. It's called your TFL, also known as your hip flexor complex. Stands for tensor fascia latae or latae, depending on how you pronounce it. Heard latae, I don't really know. It's kind of like a where you're from type deal. So you're going to roll forward and backward on it. You can also employ a copyrighted concept called the bicep pillow. Okay. All right. You're just going to roll forward and backward until you feel that tightness. Now, if you are a human who's ever sat at a desk to do schoolwork or office work, or look at videos on the computer, this will be tough for you. Okay, it's a very sensitive spot. It's very tight oftentimes. Sometimes our hip flexors, our TFLs, can become overdeveloped because of the way we're sitting, and because of the way we stand sometimes because of that. So really take your time with this. If you need to use a foam roller, by all means do it. And the last smash we're going to do is a glute smash. Okay, so you're going to literally just sit on the ball. And again, the glutes have 3 different parts of the muscle. Most people have difficulty with the area on the waistband. So if you follow your waistband, behind your hip bone. Okay, so you find your hip bone is, let's say it's right here, right? My hip bone's right here. Follow the waistband up and then right behind it. This area is called your glute medius. Okay, this will also be very tight, right? Usually this is. Sometimes it's underactive in people who have overactive hip flexors. It will still be uncomfortable, okay? So work on those areas. Rock back and forth on them. Take your time. Feel for trigger points and then work on them. And that's pretty much it for today's Mobility Monday. Thanks for hanging in there with me, and have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow for Tabata Tuesday.